And I think back to all the bullies all throughout my childhood, middle school, or elementary, middle school, high school. And it never dawned on me they were doing that out of a position of hurt.
Yeah.
But hindsight, I kind of go, whoa, that
Yeah.
makes so much sense, because it seems so odd. Why would these people be doing these things? And I was the victim of a lot of the bullying. I was a fat kid, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, it was just really fascinating to me to kind of do a retrospect when you think about these people that do those kind of herky-jerky fight kind of movements. It puts a whole new spin on like your whole worldview when you see it through that lens.
I think the word that's coming to mind is transference. When it's coming to this fight, it's I feel something that I don't like, and I want to transfer what I'm feeling to you. It doesn't really work that way, but that's what it happens in our brains. So these bullies that, in school or in our life, even now as adults, because there are still adult bullies out there, guys. Just get on the online for just a second and you will see. Okay. I had a TikTok blow up yesterday, and I've had to filter through a couple of different hate comments. I've never really had a whole lot of stuff like that, but hey, it comes with the territory, right?
You got 100,000 views in less than 24 hours. That was badass.
I'm sitting at about 150K right now. It's insane.
It's probably getting close to 200K by the time the end of the day comes. Yeah, and all showing your coffee bar. So that was interesting.
The people on the internet, they enjoy what they enjoy, and I am okay with that. But I had a couple of people on there, and I was thinking, when they were commenting, it doesn't bother me because it always makes me go, what's going on in their life? But, that they were trying to transfer whatever it is that's going on in their life. They're trying to transfer that. And that's really what happens with these internet trolls and internet bullies. I think a lot of them just sit at home on their computer or on their phone, and they've got so much stuff they're dealing with on their own. They're just like, I want to make everybody hurt.
I've been dealing with it for 17 years, so I know all about the internet bullies.
Yeah, and I mean, it sucks. And like on the one hand, I want to go off, I want to fight because like, why are you making me feel like this? And then on the other hand, I'm just like, you know what? I don't even have time to put up with that anymore. I'm not even going to respond to it. You don't deserve a trauma response from me. I've dealt with these people in my life. But anyway, that's really when we're talking about fight. We're talking about these bullies. Typically, people aren't just born a bully. They're not just born that way. Something has happened to them, and that's the way that they're responding.
And it's not human nature to treat another human being like that unless you're mimicking back what you've observed in your own life. And so that goes back to if you saw nothing but yelling and screaming and abuse as a kid, why would you expect those same people would respond any differently when they become adults? And so, and again, we've talked about this before as well. It's that comfort level because it's what they know. And and so if fight is what you've had to deal with throughout your whole childhood, I think about these kids that they're under very oppressive parents, either a parent or both parents, and they get out of the house. If they're suddenly like in peace, they're in turmoil. They only know fight as the normal response. And so then they become these angry young adults, and people are like, what's wrong with that person?
Yeah. And it's sad. It's really sad. And like you said, they view these things over and over again, and just becomes who they are because it's what they saw. And see, Brittany likes to fuck with these people. Brittany likes to really mess with the people that are angry and they're in this fight. And it's almost because I do know these things. I know these different trauma responses. And so I try to come at it a little bit calmer, a little bit gentle parenting in society, just help parenting other people. But one of the people, they weren't like flat out disgusting in the comments, but they were like, I call BS, and they were a little combative. And so I came back with a calm response. And they immediately redacted everything that they said, and they kind of like scrambled. And doing this online doesn't give quite the satisfaction as in person. Oh my gosh. Doing this in person with someone's like combative and yelling and and I'm just calm, and they're like, oh, I feel stupid.
And I think it's even, I do the same, by the way, where passive aggressive comments, they feel like they're not being ugly, but they're being incredibly ugly, and kind of like really tries that Okay, do you want to? But no, we're going to be like, all right, we're going to talk to them like adults. And sometimes they're like, oh, okay, cool. But other times they'll double down and fight doubly. And
Yeah.
that's when you deal with them in the appropriate way, like you did with those 2 comments on TikTok. You got rid of them, and it is what it is. I do it all the time. And yeah, I see all kind of crap shows on Facebook. Facebook seems to be where it happens. I get a little bit on Instagram, little bit on YouTube, but a bit on Facebook for some reason.
Just my personal opinion, it's because the old peoples are on the Facebooks. Just my personal opinion. You know, we talked about. Go ahead.
I wouldn't put an age on it. I think once you look, here's my theory. I think once you and Twitter is the ultimate shit show. You go on Twitter, it's just off the rails. Here's my theory. Once somebody goes in like that, then you've got a lot of these me too, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too kind of comments, which is why I see an especially ugly comment on my page. I always address it right away, calmly, trying to turn it around. But then inevitably, if they come back double down, I've got to get rid of it, or you're going to see this whole thread of about 20 people that will be like, yeah, and it's just going to cascade into ugliness.
So you guys know I've been doing 75 hard, right? One of the requirements for this is drink a gallon of water per day. I still find myself needing a little extra boost and a little bit more electrolytes to fuel all of these workouts I've been doing. And that's why I'm super excited to be partnered with Element right now on the One Step Deeper podcast, because I am needing all the electrolytes and they are providing life for me right now. They sent me this amazing package, guys. Look. What? We got watermelon, we got orange, we got raspberry, and my personal favorite is citrus, because listen, it reminds me of margarita, and during 75 hard you can't have those, so I'm telling you, this stuff is giving me life. So if you're interested in trying them for yourself and getting some great electrolytes, you can go to drinklmnt.com/Jimmy, and there you can get a free sample. All you have to do is pay the shipping. Hope you enjoy. Remember, just as Element says, stay salty.
Okay, so that we're going to skip over the next 2 and just kind of go across line, because you brought up something that immediately made me think, okay, let's go into that fawn response. This is not one, within the last year, I just learned about fawning and what that is and what that means. So fawn is related to like codependency. And the people who will not say anything and won't be combative and won't have that fight response, but they see somebody else fighting, they would just kind of come underneath and go, me too. And they're people pleasing, and they do anything that they can to mold themselves to make other people happy. And that is their trauma response.
And to be liked.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes. And to be liked. They're people pleasing. They're also, this is a tough word to say out loud, and I'll dial it back in a second, but these are the people that play the victim. Okay. And I believe with my entire heart that I am a victim. I was a victim of sexual abuse, of physical abuse. I was a victim. I will always be a victim. That's what happened to me. However, it's my story, and I get to choose what to do with it. And one of those things I won't do is kind of perpetuate, oh, feel sorry for me, which is kind of that fawn response. Feel bad for me, feel sorry for me.
I think some people play the victim of their own manufacturing of victimhood. Not that there's not things that happen, but sometimes something happens and it's just like, do this. Okay, that's it. But something happens and they go, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. I can't believe. And for the rest of their life, they're identified by that manufactured victimhood. And again, if you're a true victim like me and Brittany have been with my abuse and her sexual abuse, not talking about you, I'm talking about people. And you know these people in your life. They want to fawn all over, or they want you to fawn all over their victimhood and And they literally put things out there just to get you to give them that dopamine hit that they're so desiring by saying, oh, look at, oh, and then whatever they're talking about. Yeah, it's horrible. Never mind if it's true or not. They're just going to agree. And that's what kind of then indirectly encourages that behavior to continue.
Yes, and again, like looking at it from this angle that we're taking today, that it's a trauma response, it makes so much sense. And
Yes.
it's almost like you think about the people who are completely invalidated. Let's just go childhood. This can happen in adulthood too, but childhood is the easiest. Let's say you went your entire childhood and you never validated in your feelings, and your parents told you were this or you were that, and they made you become a people pleaser as a
Yeah.
child. And so
Yes.
as you get older, you've developed this response of, I'm going to please people, but at the same time, ooh, give me validation. I need it. I need it. I need it. I've gone through this thing and I need all the validation. And listen, I seek for validation too. Okay. I know what it's like, and I'm not like making fun of people who still seek validation. You know, a lot of, as Jimmy, just this week, I was really struggling with something and he was trying to validate me, and had to turn into, Brittany, just fucking get over it, okay? And sometimes that's what I need too. But it's okay to seek validation, but it's these people that keep this pattern over and over and over again. If that's all that they're after, every post on Facebook, every whine, every complaint is, feel sorry for me. Look at my life. It's just
Yeah.
really hard.
And that's a red flag if you ask me. If someone can't see the good in life sometimes, and it's all this woe is me, feel bad for me, look at how sucky my life is. I know this one person locally, all she writes about, you can tell she's groveling for people to help her financially. She'll post, oh, my kids, they wish they had, whatever they wish they had. Oh, I just wish there was some way I could do it for them, and I love them. And it's just like, you can tell what it is, and it's just, and I've called her out on it, not publicly but behind closed door. Don't do that. don't
Yeah.
don't do that. Everybody knows what you're doing, but then she just continues to do it, and I don't, for the life of me, understand that mentality.
I've been listening to Andy Frisella way too much. He's the creator of 75 Hard. He's got his own podcast called Real AF, and I've been listening to him way too much. I try to dial it back a little bit more. He's a little more like hard ass. I'm like, here's your tough love with a dose of of love. Here's your tough love with a dose of like, okay, I understand. I try to like balance it out there. Not too much toxic positivity, but not too much up here. I try to meet in the middle, but like, yeah, he was talking about this victimhood that people kind of play of, poor me, poor me, poor me. Eventually, you have to understand these trauma responses, they are nobody else's responsibility to deal with than your own. And if you stay in fawn, you'll always stay in fawn. You'll always be a victim, and you'll view yourself that way. And you kind of have to I still view myself as a victim, but I have to take my story and go, I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to be defeated. I'm not going to sit in this fawn response and be people pleasing because people taught me to be that way. Nah, Brittany gonna do for her. And so I sought therapy. I have friends that I talk to. I just kind of got out of that mindset of, oh, poor me, woe is me. I've been there. I have been the fawn person where I just, oh, look at my life. It's so sad. And oh my gosh, the Facebook memories, y'all. When the Facebook memories be coming back, you like, oh crap. It's nice to know I've grown personally from 10 years ago.
I had one come up recently. I'm like, really? Thanks. That reminder. Thanks. Yeah, Facebook. It's only Facebook. There's no memories on Instagram, memories on Twitter. It's just Facebook. I guess you can turn that off in your settings if you wanted to, but
I start deleting the ones and I'm like, nope, I don't want to see that next year. I'll just delete that out.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is it's so random. It'll show you things from a year ago, and the next thing you know, 8 years ago, and it's just so, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, Brittany from 8 to 10 years ago. Ooh, man, completely different person.
But I love seeing those ones, especially when you repost them, because I see the Brittany now, and especially the Brittany the last circa 2.5 years that I've known you, and even how you've grown even the last 2.5 years that I've seen you. And you've talked about this Brittany from 10 years ago, and I kind of go, I like seeing the mind of Brittany then, because it makes me appreciate the Brittany I have now.
Okay. I understand, and I completely agree.
Let's put it this way. if you saw the Jimmy of say 10, 20, 30 years ago, you'd have been the same way. You'd be like, whoa, Jay. And there was no social media 20, 30 years ago. But if you saw writings of mine, you'd be like, wow, he's a good writer.